Hey Opties! Today we're going to do a tutorial on GeoGebra Geometry. I love GeoGebra, it's super cool. There are tons of great tools to use to make pretty things and to verify some rules in geometry, and it just makes your life really nice to measure things. So let's go ahead and get started. Let's start with a point. So we have our basic tools on our sidebar to start with, and point is one of those because it's one of the most basic things we talk about in geometry. So notice as I clicked point, there was a little bar that came at the bottom of the left bar and it says point. Select position or line. If it goes away, just click it again. Function or curve. So as soon as you click a tool, it tells you how to use it at the bottom. So let's just do that. We'll just click, and if we had a line that we wanted to put a point on, we could click on that line and it would plot the point there. So we've got a point. Let's say I want to manipulate that. Anytime you just want to select something you have on your page already, click on the move. Because if I stayed on the point tool and tried to click it like this, it would make another point, and I don't want that. So I click this and I see the first thing is a paint bucket. So if you click that, you have some colors already here for you. But let's say you want to do a specific color. Click on the plus. There are lots of options here. Let's say you want to just kind of take this blue that you already have and manipulate that. Click on preview and you have some sliders. Notice I just slid that a little bit and it's now a bright purple. Now it's a gray color. Now it's a kind of a periwinkle. So you can reset that if you want to go back to the original, or you could have pressed OK. Like if I change it again, I can press OK and now I have that color I just created on my point. Let's say you have a specific code for a color. So go to advanced and you can use an RGB, an HSV, or an HSL code. So if you have a specific color, you can apply that as well. So I have this peachy looking color now. Let's go ahead and look at how you can manipulate the shape of a point. Click on this picture of a point right here and you have a menu. You have different shapes you can choose for your point. Let's do this plus, and you can change the size to bigger or smaller, and I'm just going to keep it pretty large so it's easier to see. If you want to change your label, you can type right in here, and let's call this point P. If you want to hide that label, you can unclick the check. Click it again, and there it appears again. Let's say you want to show the XY coordinate pair. Click that, and it shows your value. In this case is that coordinate pair, that ordered pair. Let's say you want to delete it, just click the trash can. These three little dots will let you do a few more things. Duplicate is like copying it. Fix object means you're going to fix it to your screen where you cannot move it anymore. And this can be helpful in a lot of instances where you just want to have maybe a background already set for you and then you want to start adding things on top of it and you don't want to mess up your background. So that would be a beneficial time to use fix object. And you can go to settings and you can see all this stuff we saw earlier, which we only talked about color and advanced, but we'll get on to a few other things soon. So now let's click on segment. I'll just make a segment. Notice it already gives me labels and points, and it's kind of the most basic look. They give you a blue endpoints and blue labels, typically letters, usually following the next letters in the alphabet after whatever you've already created. Meaning we created a point A and then we changed it, but now we have B and C for our line segment. And let's go back to move, and we can change the way the line looks. We can change the color, and now we can change to a dashed line, a little bit shorter dashed line, a dotted line, and then a combo of dots and dashes. And I kind of think this one's pretty cool. I like to use this one a lot. Let's make it larger. And again, you can do the same thing. You can show your label. Right now our label's not shown because this is not talking about the label of the endpoints. It's talking about a label for the actual segment. So I'll show you what that means. Click Show Label. Now we have this little bitty F here. Notice I just moved my whole screen. Let's go to move and click on the actual letter to just kind of move it away from the segment so we can see it really nice and clear. If you want to do a line, remember lines go on for infinity, so it doesn't stop. Even if you zoomed out using this zoom out tool, you can see that it's still going on forever and ever. Let's say you want to zoom in, use this tool. Let's say you want to go back to home, which is always going to bring you back to 0, 0, which is your origin. Click home. Let me show you that that's going to be the origin every time. If you want to see your axes or a grid, basically anything that's going to manipulate your entire page's background, go to this gear. I'll click Show Axes and my axes appear. Let's click Show Grid. It's a drop-down menu because there are different grids you can use. Right now it's a blank background, so that's called no grid. Go to Major Grid Lines and you have just the big squares. Just the intersections of all the whole numbers or all the integers here. Go to Major and Minor Grid Lines, you'll get some smaller pieces in there. So it'll help you to see some decimals and some fractional numbers. Now let's take a look at Polar, which is like a bunch of circles, which I find to be really pretty. It's super pretty if you take off the axes and you just see all this pretty circle stuff. Yes, there is real math that you do with that, not just for prettiness, even though math is super pretty. Let's go to isometric, which is one of my favorites. You have a bunch of triangles. Isometric is a word that goes with the word isometry. And isometry is a transformation, and that's about moving shapes around. And we will talk about that in units in the future. It's one of my favorite things to talk about in geometry, and we will actually use this grid. Let's go ahead and keep it like this. Notice I'm making a line right now because I'm on the line tool. So if I wanted to undo that, you can use this undo. And let's go back to the move. Let's say we want to move to have a little bit more open area here. Let's make a polygon. Click, click, click. You can keep clicking. What's great about the polygon tool is whenever you're done making your shape, you go back to your original point and it closes it for you. Since it's closed, you can change the color of the inside of it. So if you click on it and go to the paint bucket, notice these are like almost like transparent colors. You can bring it up and it will make it darker. So it's changing the transparency or the opacity. And of course you can go and get a different color. Let's make this bright purple. And you can drag it here as well. It's super bright. Let's make it about half opacity, 50%-ish. While we're here, let's look at how you can change the color of your axes. We're on basic, so we're on settings. We got there through our color here, but let me show you can also just get there from this settings icon. So click on settings and click on settings again. And now you have all this stuff where we found all the extra colors. So you're on basic and you're showing your axes. If you want to make them bold, your numbers and your axes themselves, you can click the bold. You can change the way your numbers look. Serif, bold, and italic. So this bold would change the number to be bold, and this bold would change the actual axes to be bold. Let's change the color. How about this reddish color? Reddish pinkish. Okay, so we have our axes changed to a different color. Now we can change our background color, which is super fun. Let's do like this light yellow. And you can also change the way your arrows look. I like it with a double arrow. And let's go to grid and change the color of our grid lines. You can also change your line itself to be any of the types of lines. So there we've changed the grid lines to be dashed, and let's change the color. Let's make it a dark blue, almost like a navy. It's looking like very colorful now. Okay, let's exit off of that. Let's say you're wanting to make something super artistic. This to me looks like some sort of animal, almost like an anteater. Like this nose kind of reminds me of an anteater. Let's click on more, And notice we have show hide object, and that's underneath edit. So if you're trying to edit anything you've already created, look under edit and you'll probably find what you need there. So we have show hide label. Let's just see what happens when we do that. A label would be your letters or your word that are beside your point or your segment or whatever it may be. So click on your letters and they'll disappear because those are your labels. Now I'm going to leave some letters to show you what happens when you click on show hide object. So an object would reference any kind of shape you've made or your point. So if you click on a point, notice it kind of shows it to you still to make sure you know you've actually hidden it. Let's click on the rest of the points that have letters still. And as soon as we click off of that, they disappear. Notice you have your points disappeared along with your labels. So this is kind of like killing two birds with one stone. With a show hide object, it hides your object and your label. Let's say you just want to delete something and you don't want to have to go to each individual thing and click on it and look at its menu and click the trash can. You can just click delete and start deleting all kinds of stuff. Now I'm kind of sad that my guy got deleted, so I'm going to undo. And here he is again. But I do kind of like eliminating a few more of these points. I think I'm going to keep the point on what I think looks like the nose and change it to look pretty cool, like a different shape. So I'll click back to some other tool. Oh, accidentally hid my point there. Okay, let's look. I hid my nose point on accident. So if I click show hide object again and re-click it, it'll appear again. But notice my J's there. I don't want the J. I will click show hide label on the J. Now I'm going to click move. Click back on my point, and I'm going to change it to, I think maybe this looks kind of like a nose, maybe. And maybe I want it to be kind of large. And I want to change the color to be a lighter blue. That looks pretty. Let's make him an eye. This is totally an and teacher. Okay, I think that eye position makes him look really cute and friendly. Let's hide the label and change the eye to be, let's do a closed circle is just too boring. This one has some like border and this one's full, but maybe an open circle. Make it bigger. Hey, let's do this. Let's do that and let's make another point that's smaller. Hide the label. Y'all, I'm having so much fun. That actually looks kind of cool, but I want to put this point inside the other one. I'll make it full and small. Maybe not that small. Now let's put it inside. Oh, now it looks like a pupil. That's so cute. I really like my little creature here. Let's say we want to, for some reason, measure an angle here. Go to measure. I love these tools. It tells us to select 3 points or 2 lines. I don't have my points here, so let's just select 2 lines. Now it's measured this angle since I selected this line and this line. So I'm selecting the sides of the angle. Now I can't really tell what this is because it's all covered up with lines. So go to move and click on it and move it around. And now you can see it a whole lot better. And if you want to change the color of that angle marking, let's make it green and really dark, and that looks really cool. Now it looks like he's got his toenails painted. That's what I think. There are some other tools measuring a distance or length. So click on this segment and it tells us that's 5 units, which that turned out to be a nice number. Let's say we want to know the area of this crazy looking animal figure. It does it for us, which is super amazing because with such a wild figure like that, it would be very difficult to find the area with, you know, just some easy math. It would take you a little bit to find it, which it's definitely doable, but it's nice they do that for us. Let's make a circle. We haven't done that yet. We could also use a circle for an eye. This looks like it's gonna be an anthill, okay? Just have some imagination here. I don't want my points there. Let's change the color. and let's make it have more of an opacity. So this is a black color, I suppose. We can also find the area of the circle using this, which is nice. We can make a semicircle, which is really pretty to make like flowers or something, like flower petals. We can use a regular polygon tool to make in a perfectly symmetrical polygon. So let's say we want to make it with 7 sides, a heptagon. Now it's created for us. And the fact that you've made it with that tool means that you can't mess up the symmetry of it. So if you try to move this point, it won't do anything. Notice these points are gray, and typically when we make points, they're blue. If you've constructed points, like maybe from this construct tool here, then the points will turn gray, and that means something special, like, okay, this is actually a constructed point with a specific destination or specific way of relating to other things. Like this point is the same distance from this point as this one to this one, blah, 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 because all the sides are equal and all the angles are equal. That's what regular means. Let's do a few more things. Here are some transform tools, which we will use in our transformation units. We can do a text box, which you'll use a lot, so let's practice that. Once you click it, it lets you type things. Let's say math is awesome. I didn't actually mean to do caps, but it's fine. There you go. So we've got some spaces here. Let's say you want to move where that text box is, and you just take the move tool. You can insert an image as well with this button under media. If you click more, there are a few more things. I like this freehand shape. Let's say you want to kind of trace this triangle, which you could use the polygon tool and probably make your life a lot easier, but freehand shape's fun too. And now it's created that, which is pretty cool. But those are the basic tools to use on GeoGebra. I will show you one more thing which is very helpful and very important, especially in the types of things we're going to be doing on GeoGebra. Let me kind of take away this sidebar here. Let's say I want to have this picture. I'll zoom out to get all my things I've made. Let's say you want to submit this picture of your work to me. What you'll do is go to the top right corner, go to main menu. It's these 3 horizontal lines beside the word GeoGebra. And you want to save it underneath your account. So what you would do is you'd make an account. If I'm not logged in, it'll say sign in here. So you want to create an account and sign in. And then you would want to save it. So you can go like this, save. And let's call this test. And I will save it. And now you can get back to it. GeoGebra is pretty bad about deleting everything you've made unless you saved it, which is kind of true for anything, but make sure you save it for sure. It's not like Drive where you can kind of have a recovered file, and it doesn't save automatically either, to my knowledge. So let's go down to export image. And what this does is it screenshots whatever you have set on your page. So before you do export image, make sure it's set to whatever you want to be screenshotted. And now you can click copy to clipboard, and it's been copied for you once you click that button. Now you need to go to your document and paste it. You can either right click and paste, or you can do Control V for PC or Chromebook, or Command V for a Mac. You could also download it. So use the same button, export image, and download. And then you could insert it into your doc. Let's go and look at download as and click PDF. Now if we pull that up, it has saved this file as a PDF. So that's another option. So 2 options, either main menu, export image, copy to clipboard, paste into a doc, or go to main menu, download as, and click PDF. That's how you want to submit. All right, that is some basic introduction to GeoGebra Geometry. See y'all next time.